Sorry, my dog just pooped. I had to pick it up. Okay, so maintenance is a form of progress because it's helping us reinforce the habits that got us to where we wanted to be. And it also means, hey, okay, we've got to a place that we're happy with. Now we can maintain it. But just because maintenance is a form of progress does not mean that you need to keep on the same calories that you used to be on. Because if you think about it, as we cut our calories to lose weight, our metabolism adapts, our hormones deregulate, and pretty much our body just goes into trying to save us because it doesn't want us to die. Like, the whole point of every system in our body is to keep us alive. So if we are not putting enough energy into our bodies to sustain normal functioning of our organs, of our body systems, of our activities, of our brain function, then we become more like metabolically efficient in the way that we extract every minuscule calorie from our foods. Because a lot of the time when we eat, we only process and absorb certain amounts. Because you aren't what you eat, you are what you absorb. So if our bodies are trying to protect us, they will literally cling on to every single calorie that it can get from any food. It will slow down our reproductive system because the last thing our body wants to do is reproduce when we are in starving mode. There's no such thing as starvation mode, but let's just say in life-saving mode. It will shut down that. It will also shut down the production of many enzymes, which is why we get a lot of digestive discomfort, and many foods we have can bloat us. And it's also when a lot of people get so-called food intolerances. But the thing is, you can actually beat food intolerances by actually meeting your body's required energy needs. Now, a lot of the time, it might take a while for certain enzymes to start being produced again, especially the lactase one, because in uni, we did some cultural, like the culture as in bacterial studies. We did some studies where the lactase enzymes weren't being produced because we weren't feeding the species lactose. And because of that, lactase stopped being produced, and then we fed them the lactose again, and then they had an inflammatory reaction because it was seen as a foreign substance. And we didn't do the test long enough to see if it would start coming back again, but there have been studies where once you reduce stresses on the body stops seeing certain, like, leaky gut is just, like, I hate it when people say leaky gut because it's all a matter of, like, word choice. It's not, like, it is leaky gut, but it's not. The reason that it's technically a gut that's leaking shit is because when you're stressed out, there's, like, the gut lining, like, things can't be, I'm trying to put it into easy terms. Think of the gut lining, and as you are stressed out, the body tries to absorb more from the foods, and there are certain things that get turned into short chain fatty acids that you eat, like fiber and all of that stuff. And the short chain fatty acids, that resistant starch and all that stuff turns into, coats the gut lining. Now, if you're stressed out, if your digestive system isn't working properly, then your, like, some of those particles can't get absorbed adequately, so they aren't digested, they aren't broken down, so they go through the gut lining where they're not supposed to be, and then an inflammatory reaction happens, and then that's when you start getting those food intolerances and whatever you want to call it, like a leaky gut or whatever. It's because particles are going through the gut lining that shouldn't be going through the gut lining, and that all comes down to stress. And it can also come down to as I said, malnourishing your body isn't producing the adequate enzymes and adequate stuff to go through there, which is why a lot of the time you might see people who can't eat even just like chicken or like normal food without getting a bloated belly, because their body can't produce enough, like an acidic enough environment in your gut to break it down. Like, it's not just enzymes, like your stomach is highly acidic, especially where the food first enters. And if you can't have an adequate environment to digest and assimilate the foods, that's when it leaks through. And your body isn't going to produce those acidic chemicals to do that if you're malnourished, if you're stressed, if you're under recovered, if you're overtraining. And that's when our metabolism slows down. That's when we start reacting to a lot of foods. That's when we stop absorbing our foods adequately. And yeah, if we aren't absorbing our foods adequately, you can just imagine what disruption that will cause our whole metabolism, body systems. So, the point I'm getting at. Anyway, that was just some massive thing on why stress is so important, and like certain reasons why you might feel like you're bloating up or whatever. But now I want to touch on to like keto and carbs and stuff, because I want to clear something up really quickly. And that's when you get the initial the initial weight gain from increasing carbs. It's because every gram of carb holds with it 3 grams of water, sometimes 4. Because if you think about the name in itself, it's carbohydrate. So carbs hold water with it. It hydrates the muscles. And the really good thing about that is that the more that you build your muscles, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, then the more weight that you can lift with the same amount of reps, and then the more muscle you build via volume. So then, yeah, you'll have more muscle, and the more muscle you have, the more carbs you can actually have and store in your body. You become a lot more insulin sensitive. It helps nutrition partitioning, and that's kind of where the whole building muscle, helps you eat more type of thing comes from. It just allows you to store a lot more carbohydrates and macronutrients in your muscles themselves. So that's kind of why carbs and proteins are the biggest thing for me, and just enough fats, coming mainly from omega-3s, because omega-3s are anti-inflammatory and they assist in, like, they're lubricants for the body cells in your body, because the layer, like the outer lining of the cells, is made out of fats and stuff. And yeah, anyway, so back to wait a second, my dog is trying to chase the dogs in front of us. Okay, back to what I was saying. So okay, the fear of eating more. So I guess what comes to say is, like, the metabolism isn't just about what you perceive as calories in, calories out, because that's biology. It's a given. But what you don't know is how complex calories in, calories out is. And that's why, if you've been following me for a really long time, the way that I used to preach things, I've overhauled it dramatically. I don't say calorie deficit anymore. I don't even say a macro is a macro or a calorie is a calorie and all of that other stuff, because yeah, calories in, calories out is a thing, but I'm just sick to death of people like, what's that guy's name? Blonde dickhead, booze dude, James Smith or whatever. That's why he gives me the shits, because he just hammers on calorie deficit. So it's just like, yeah, it is that simple. But it's not that simple, because what determines calories in? It's not how much you're eating, because you aren't what you eat, you're what you absorb. And what determines calories out? So many different factors. And if you are in a negative mindset about food in itself, you actually don't metabolize that food as well. Like, if you don't stress out about eating foods, your body is going to be able to digest. Like, The parasympathetic state is rest and digest. If you're stressed out, you're going to have a whole cascade of chemical reactions, chemical signalings, all of that stuff that it promotes. Like, you can't metabolize your food properly in a stressed out state. Like, if you think about our primal days when we perceived a threat in our environment, if there was a threat in our environment, why would we need food? Like, our bodies are designed to survive. So if we're stressed out, our body is going to shut those systems down. And like, people think stress is just like, oh my God, I'm stressed. But it isn't. Stress also comes from training. Dieting especially is a form of stress, because you can be overfed but undernourished because you're not providing the adequate micronutrients, vitamins, minerals into your body. So there are all different types of stresses that incur on your body. And even if you don't feel it, you could be so used to that adrenaline high. I know there are a couple of people in this group that don't see themselves as stressed, but they are, because they're just so used to that thrill of always wanting more, of always chasing perfect. And a lot of the time you'll see AAA type personality people. They are actually highly stressed, but they don't see it because like, they don't know how to relax. Like, there was a girl who said to me when I told her to get a podcast, she's like, but I don't know how to relax. I don't know how to be still. That scares me to hell out, just listening to music and enjoying it. I'm like, that is a sign that you really, really need to work on it. And it's stuff like that. But like, I'm just going into a tangent, just like trying to put as much information into here as possible at the same time. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid of it. Like, I know it's scary when you attach yourself to an identity that you used to be, and you use that to impact all of your thoughts, all of your decisions, all of your actions, because I was there. Like, when I was bodybuilding, I used to get so much attention. Like, I used to train at 4 a.m. So I was always awake in time with the Americans. And I had a lot of American followers, and a lot of them were bodybuilders. And I used to get a lot of attention back then because I was shredded. I was strong for my body size, but weak compared to now. But, well, I wasn't strong in squats. I was always pretty strong at deadlifts and bench, because that's what I liked doing. But yeah, so that's what I attached myself as the identity to. The figure girl, the shredded girl, the one who's always training, the one that's always putting 100% in, the one who's very disciplined and all of that other stuff. And like, I loved it. It was like my therapy, but at the same time, I was sick of being run down, but I didn't know any other way. And in changing that, it scared the shit out of me. And the thing is, I was studying at this time. I'm always studying, but I was studying at this time a lot of things that went against everything that I was doing. I was preaching everything that was opposite to what I was doing, yet I still did it because that was my identity. And I knew it was wrong, and I knew I couldn't sustain this lifestyle for life. And there was more to life than the gym, and I didn't want gym taking over my life, because you shouldn't live in the gym. And I like hardly live in the gym now. I don't wake up at an obnoxious 4 a.m. to go train. I wake up at 5 and I get shit ready, and then the dog. And then by 6 o'clock I'm at my computer, and I do some admin work before I leave the house at 7. And then I train about 7:30, 8 o'clock, because it takes half an hour to get to my gym. And then I train for like an hour. Sometimes my training sessions are 40 minutes, sometimes they're 90 minutes. And then I tack on 40 minutes at least walking on a treadmill, because otherwise I sit on my ass all day, and I need to get my steps in because it's great for the heart. And like, steps that aren't purposeful, that's what you call neat. But if you're purposely going for a walk to get steps in, that's actual cardio, that's not neat. And I don't really have any neat except walking up my stairs to get to my place, because I live upstairs. So that's pretty much the only NEAT that I get. So I make sure that I get in my walks. And anyway, so I didn't want to attach myself to that. And then July 2017 is when I changed into powerlifting. And now it's July. So the memories on Facebook are all coming up that I used to write about joining a new gym that was focused on powerlifting so I can get some guidance in powerlifting. And that's when I started doing some courses in powerlifting and educating myself on that. Went to a few lectures, workshops, stuff, and it was scary for me because I went from training 6, almost 7 days a week. The 7th day was just like cardio, but I would always be at the gym. And I went from that daily routine to having my new gym where it was only open 5 days a week. And the training sessions that I was following were 40 minutes and they were low rep, a lot of rest. I was told I needed to rest. Like I was given an actual rest time, which was like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I wasn't used to that. I was used to going bang, bang, bang. And the gym had absolutely no cardio equipment at all, except some sprinting bike that was manual resistance. Like you actually had to manually add resistance to it. It was like the ones that we had in uni when we did all these tests for like VO2 max and oxygen consumption and all that stuff and lactate testing. But yeah, it was a massive change and it scared me. And all of my statuses around that time were about taking the leap and all of the other stuff because I was convincing myself that I made the right choice. But I spoke so positively about it, like I was already positive and I was already loving it. But at that time I wasn't, but I grew to loving it and I spoke it into existence and it happened. But it was scary for me and I would never look back because it was the best change of my life because it just brought much more life to me. And I saw that I can still sustain a very, very fit persona and identity of a strong, independent person who's empowered through her lifting. And empowered was always a massive theme of mine. But that year it was all about authenticity and I wanted to be authentic in everything that I did. And because that was my theme word of the year, if you've watched the goal setting videos, I became more authentic and I started loving everything that I was doing. I started, like that's when my food was really, really high in carbs still at the same time because I was recovery dieting out of my show. So I went from like 1,200 to 1,000 calories in peak week and then I increased them for the last few days so I can look fuller. And then the last couple of days were like 1,600, mainly carbs, nothing else because it was just what I was testing as my nutritional protocol because I was testing things. But straight after comp, I jumped all the way up to 2,000 calories from there. And then I jumped up to 2,300 and I sat there for ages with a high workload until I changed to powerlifting and I still kept my calories there because I was still bringing my hormonal markers and my body back up. And that happened about September, October, and then I don't even know what I weighed, but I had to weigh 56 for my first official comp in January. So I was heavier than that. So I cut my calories back down 2017 and 2017 in like December to like 1,300 for January. And then I ended up maintaining them about 1,500 for most of last year and 1,600. And it wasn't until June this year that I bumped them up from 1,600 all the way to 1,900. And now I'm sitting at about 2,100 and 300 grams of that is carbs. Like my carbs jumped up from 160 to 300 as of now. They were 360. Wait, it was 160 to 260 and now it's 300. It was meant to be 300 last week, but I was hitting 280 and now I'm hitting 300. But yeah, it's a massive change. And to say that I wasn't like scared of what will happen, I was, but I trust the process and I know the way the body works. But at the same time, I'm ignorant to the way the body works when it's about me, which is why I do what I'm told and I don't let my emotion tell me what to do. Because if I let my emotion tell me what to do, I would get nowhere. Because we're humans, we're highly emotional beings, and that's why I believe that every coach should have a coach. And that's why I have 3 mentors and my powerlifting coach. So they look after everything that I do. And luckily, that happens always. Like I said, we're emotional and we can never truly progress ourselves from an objective standpoint if we allow our emotions to continually take over. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much what I wanted to say in this roundabout way. It took me 20 minutes, but if you give this a listen, this is the end of it. So me saying it now is probably useless, but I hope I included everything I wanted to say. But the thing is, something that I really want to add on at the end when it comes to coaching you girls is that I set you challenges, I give you tasks to do, but if you go into the pin post and the announcement post at the top, please check the client checklist because it's a two-way street and it will make things so much easier for me. Like, I don't care if you guys nag me. I really don't. I want you to nag me. And, oh, that's what I wanted to say. If you're so used to chasing a lower body weight on the scale and you get to the end point of a diet, you don't know what to do anymore, and because you're not chasing the scale going lower anymore, it can freak you the hell out when all of a sudden you got more food, or when all of a sudden you're not seeing the scale go down anymore, and when all of a sudden your focus and identity isn't on losing weight and doing everything you can to lose weight and cut calories and do all this stuff, and it's now on maintaining your physique, and it's now on building a better body, and it's now on performance. Like, that's foreign to you, so it's usual for you to be scared. But anyway, as I was saying, it will mean the world to me if you guys actually do the homework and do the tasks that I send you. It's a two-way street. I'm not going to keep barking up your bum when I set you tasks. Like, sometimes I will if I realize it's been ages and I haven't seen a challenge from you, but I set them for a reason. And you can even ask Tracy. Like, I told her ages ago to start using a diary, and she tells me about 4 months later, oh, I only just started using a diary. I can't believe I didn't do it earlier because it's changed everything. But yeah, so things do seem really stupid, but I do say things for a reason. I do set ridiculous tasks for a reason because I know what we're like, and I know what it is like to have a community and a family and something you can like feel like you're a big part of. And you guys in here know each other, but you don't know each other. So it's a safe place, and no one here judges anyone. No one's allowed to join my group if they're a judgmental bitch, because it's all about women empowering women. And that's why I want to reach as many people as I can, because the more people that are in here supporting each other, posting in here, being really active in here and sharing inspiration, motivation, comments, likes, compliments, all that stuff, it really creates a strong environment, and it shows the true power of us women. So yeah,